Now, a fascinating poll a few days ago from NBC News asking this question. The number or percentage who believe reform proposals would allow the government to make decisions about when to stop providing medical care for the elderly. Overall, 45% believe that's true. But if you segregate out Fox News viewers, the number rises to 75%. If you look at MSNBC and CNN viewers, 30%.
Turned the healthcare debate on its head this summer. Now those words have earned their rightful place in history. Our number 2 story on the countdown, and the lie of the year goes to Sarah Palin's unforgettable phrase, death panel. PolitiFact, the truth-squatting website of the St. Petersburg Times, naming Sarah Palin's death panel whopper the lie of the year. Palin posted the myth about government-run end-of-life care on Facebook back in August. The America I know and love is not one in which my parents or my baby with Down syndrome will have to stand in front of Obama's death panel so his bureaucrats can decide, based on a subjective judgment of their level of productivity in society, whether they are worthy of health care. One problem, none of the reform bills included the kind of rationed care Palin warned of. The death panel lie beat a slew of other tall tales. Runners-up included birther Queen Orly Tate's claiming she found a birth certificate proving President Obama was born in Kenya. Congressman Joe Wilson shouting, "You lie," in response to the president's assertion that health care reform would not ensure illegal immigrants. And Glenn Beck, claiming Obama's top science advisor, has proposed forcing abortions and putting steroids in the drinking water to control population. But it was Palin's death panel lie that really stuck. PolitiFact reporting that the term was mentioned in news reports 6,000 times in August and September. Playing his part, Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, he took the death panel meme and turned it up to 11.
We want to have a government program that determines you're going to pull the plug on grandma.
Well, there was quite a controversy when President Obama first introduced the end-of-life plan as part of the health care bill, known as death panels, or so-called death panels, as called on by Sarah Palin. So Congress killed it, but now they're back somehow. Joining us to explain all of this, former Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services under President Bush, Tevi Troy, is joining us this morning. Tevi, explain it to us, because this kind of quietly seemed to happen during Christmas. Everyone's out of town, and the New York Times picks up on this story, and everyone's sitting there scratching our heads that the death panels somehow are back. Explain how this happened.
Yeah, how convenient, right, Clayton? Well, what happened here is that there was this provision about end-of-life care, and end-of-life care is a serious issue. It costs $55 billion for people in the last 2 months of their life in Medicare every year. So it's a serious issue, and the Obama administration tried to jam it through in their politically controversial health care bill. The health care bill, they made the bill through, but they lost this provision because it was too controversial even for their health care bill.
Well, the White House is pushing back against this New York Times story, and what they're saying is that the Times story is wrong. Here's what they say. The benefit was signed into law under President Bush. The only thing new here is a regulation allowing the discussions about it, authorized in 2003 by the prescription drug benefit, to happen in the context of the new annual wellness visit created by the Affordable Health Care Act. So all of this done, Tevi, under President Bush.
Well, look, it's not fair to say all of this is done under President Bush. As I said, end-of-life care is an important issue that we need to have a serious adult conversation about. I think the Obama administration tried to accelerate the issue in the legislation. They couldn't get it through, and now they're pushing regulations through right around Christmas time when they know that people aren't paying as much attention. As they've seen, however, people are really paying attention to this issue because it is so controversial. What we need to do is have a bipartisan, serious conversation about this issue because it is costing us a lot of money, but you can't do it through kind of end-of-night, non-transparent, behind closed doors approaches.
Well, I think that's what caught us all off guard, right? It's this sort of everyone's out of town, quietly sneaking this in. And the Times piece talks to a Democrat and got their hands on an email, which shocked all of us. In fact, part of this email says the longer this goes unnoticed, the better our chances of keeping it. And in essence, Democrats want to keep this thing quiet so it gets pushed through and the American public not aware of it.
Well, because they saw how politically controversial it was and what a big stink it made, even in their extra controversial health care bill. This was one of the most controversial provisions that couldn't even make it through. And as you saw, the health care bill cost them the control of the House, 6 seats in the Senate. So they know that this is political dynamite that they're playing with.
At the end of the day, though, Sarah Palin, when she first called these things death panels, what she was hitting on wasn't so much what they were doing, was whether or not government should be involved in deciding this end-of-life process in a family anyway.
Yeah, well, the important question is, I think people need to have information. I think people need to make decisions. I think long-term decisions about what to do with someone who is terminally ill and how to handle that is an important but sensitive issue. And it has a lot of moral and ethical implications. What people are uncomfortable with is the government mandating it, saying you must have this kind of directive. And also, if the government pushes you towards a certain type of decision, I think that's what gets people really uncomfortable.
All right, Savvy Troy, we appreciate you joining us.
Having lost both parents over the last couple of years, I don't view this as just some political fodder for partisans to excite their voter base. The fact is, you can't hide from the tough choices you'll be faced with, and these aren't decisions you can possibly make without professionals explaining your options. I consulted with numerous social workers and doctors. If a hospital or other healthcare facility doesn't offer these services, quite frankly, they're incompetent. The fact that the government offers to reimburse healthcare workers for providing these services doesn't amount to Uncle Sam trying to kill Granny to save tax dollars. No matter how many times Fox News repeats this lie to confuse its viewers.